internal control functions, and she is motivated and committed and used to working in a pressured environment. Salintae works at the Bank of Butterfield and was, like my son, a management trainee. And at Butterfield, she's worked as a business continuity planning analyst, where she assists with disaster recovery initiatives for Bermuda and the Cayman Islands. She believes in continuing education and learning and has taken online courses at New Skills Academy in life coaching and received the life coaching certificate in July of 2019. Also from New Skills Academy, she took an online course in mindfulness in May 2019, and she holds certificates in meditation practices, therapies and benefits, mindfulness-based interventions, and mindful parenting. My goodness, and she's just so young. Well, and TJ said, Mama, make sure you get some young people on your show. So I'm honoring him today. More formally, she attended St. Thomas University in Florida and has a Bachelor's of Business Administration degree, which she received in May 2008, specializing in management. And in May 2012, she was awarded a Master of Science degree in Christian Counseling from Philadelphia Bible University. Philadelphia, this is where she worked on coursework that included theology, relationship counseling, substance abuse, counseling, and suicide intervention. And she has held a number of leadership roles as well. For instance, Salintae is the chair of the Bermuda Sickle Cell Association and was that from 2014 to 2016. From 2014 to 2015, she was the chair of Bermuda's Emerging Professionals, the deputy chair of Bermuda's Emerging Professionals from 2013 to 2014, and first vice chair of the Bermuda Sickle Cell Association in 2012 to 2014. So this goes on and on and on. A representative on the Peace and Social Justice Committee from 2008 to 2010, and president of her Black Student Union from 2007 to 2008. So she has some extensive work with leadership. Salintae Smith is also CEO and founder of Metanoia Power. Now she told me this, and I said I know I'm not going to remember. As a counseling business that she began in 2018, which she says came about at a time in her life when she felt overwhelmed by health issues, and doctors had diagnosed her with sickle cell anemia when she was only 3 months old. A featured article about her in the World Gazette noted that she had to have 3 blood transfusions at 30 years old, and unfortunately developed a dependency on pain medication. And she says that she chose to live a life of joy. And so, wanting to help others who are going through similar experiences, she earned certifications in life coaching and mindfulness. And as I said, she already had a master's degree in counseling, and her clients range in age from 25 to 45. The article in the World Gazette noted that she planned to launch a 4-part series, a video series, to help people zero in on their negative thought patterns. And she says in that article, it's no small task to run her business, that she works full-time. She's also a single mother to a 1-year-old daughter, and her name is
Sadia.
Okay, and she says she has her own illness to deal with, but she says she manages it all through careful planning. So this morning, thank you to TJ. Welcome Salintae to the Need to Lead on Hott 107.5, as I say, the station of innovation.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure on my behalf. Hello, listeners.
Well, I'm excited today. I walked out there and I said, "Are you Dr. D's daughter?" And she looked at me like, "Who is Dr. D?" And because she's so young, and I had seen her before. I've met Salintae before, but she's done something different with her hair. It doesn't take much to throw me off. Salintae, tell us a little bit more. I usually ask my guests, and you've heard the show before, so about who you are, who you're related to. I don't know your parents, but somebody else might know. But and then where did you attend primary school and high school?
Yes, so my dad is Clinton Smith. He used to work in education for a while. My mother is Suzette Tuzo. She said, "Don't mention me, but hi, Mom."
Clinton Smith?
Yes.
He was an education officer with me.
Was he?
At the Ministry of Education.
Yeah,
Yes,
physical
he was.
education.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes. Okay.
Good man.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, good. All right.
Exactly, yeah. So those are my parents. I went to West Pembroke, and
Mhm.
I also went to Paget Primary at the time. And then I moved to Mount St. Agnes for middle school and high school, and I completed my education there. And, education was a struggle for me, and I think that's why I've continued to pursue it, because when I was younger, I was constantly sick, constantly in the hospital. Sometimes I felt like I was in the hospital more than I was in school. So I think that's why I actually like school and like education, is because I didn't get the full experience as a child. So I always continue to pursue my education. So I'm 32, yes. I am the CEO of Metanoia Power, which I help people and take on clients who are feeling stuck, who are dealing with chronic disease. And we know chronic disease is not only something that is an illness, it can be a circumstance as well that just makes you uneasy in your life. So I do that. Like you said, I'm also the mother of Sadia Tuzo Smith, who is one and is currently at dance class. um, yeah, so that's what I have on my plate right now.
All right. Well, Salinte, what do you think is your unique purpose and why? Because you talked about being sick as a child. There are people who are out there listening this morning, and some people who are going through difficult situations. But what is your purpose? What do you perceive to be your purpose, and why do you think that?
Right, so it took me a while to actually accept it as my purpose. I think for a while I was running away from it. But I think in the end that I've gone through so much with my illness that my purpose is to help encourage and empower other people who have a circumstance that is bogging them down, and help them to realize that you can continue to pursue your joy. You can be unstuck. You can pursue those dreams that you have in your heart. You don't have to let your circumstances define you. So my purpose is to help those who need help, who need to be empowered through their illness or through their circumstances.
Okay, so I'm going to go to your what were your best subjects in school because you say you like school, but you decided to obtain a bachelor's in business administration,
Hmm.
specializing in management, which doesn't have anything to do with chronic illness, I don't think. So
Correct.
tell me a little bit of why you chose that, and what were your best subjects in school?
So my best subjects were religion. That always fascinated me. Just the mystery around it, because I don't feel like we can concretely say a lot of things that we do say in religion. I do believe that a relationship with God is like the number one thing, and that's the pillar of religion and spirituality. But that always intrigued me, so I loved religion.
Did that come about because you were a student at Mount St. Agnes? Because Sue would love to hear this. I went to her office some time ago and saw all these crosses that they had up there on the wall. She's a new person. She wasn't there probably when you were there.
Okay.
But, she'd love to hear that her students are doing well, a student from Mount St. Agnes. So was it the fact that you were at a Christian school that you think?
I think that being sick and being in the hospital bed all the time, I always knew that I had a higher purpose. I always knew that there was something keeping me alive, and that there was, I guess it was the Holy Spirit now that I look back on it, but I didn't know that at the time. So when I went to MSA, I was like, oh, like, what is this? And I really took to it because I was trying to figure out the answers to what was getting me through all those difficult times. As a child, you don't really call, well, for me as a child, I didn't really call on the Lord. I didn't say, this is the Holy Spirit that's keeping me going. I just knew there was something bigger out there. And so when I got to MSA and I was put into the religion class, I was like, oh, this is fascinating. Is this what it is? And I just continued to explore that avenue. And it took me years because I even went to get my master's, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But I decided I just needed to know more about what is life. Like, why are we here? When you go through so much pain, when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling unhappy, you just want to know, like, why am I here? Like, what is the purpose of life? Is it the purpose? Is the purpose to struggle? Like, it can't be. It can't be just to struggle all the time. It can't be just to barely meet ends meet. It can't. So there has to be something higher, something more than us. So that's what always intrigued me and what always kept me going back to religion and spirituality, to find out, more about that and give me something to live for.
So why did you choose to study business administration?
So I chose business administration because I knew that I wanted to own a business in the end. I didn't know what type of business, and I didn't know exactly what else I wanted to do for schooling. So to be honest with you, because I was sick all the time, my mother didn't know that I wanted to go to university. I didn't know I wanted to go to university. But when we talk about the law of the picture, when I was in high school, when people started filling out their applications for university, I was like, oh, what is this? Like, I want to do that too, right? So I filled out my application, and I went home to my mom one day and said, Mom, I want to go to university. And she was very surprised. She wasn't expecting it. You know, when you have a sick child, a sickly child, you don't really expect that they're going to want to just go and explore the world and just, you know, leave home and leave all the inhibitions, leave their comforts. You expect them to just want to stay home and just stay in that comfort zone. But I wanted to break out of my comfort zone. So I told my mom I wanted to leave, I wanted to go to school. So she was like, wow, I didn't prepare for that. But because she's such an awesome mother, the mother that she is, she made sure I was able to get that opportunity to go. So she worked super hard. She worked 3 jobs to help put me through my bachelor's degree. And because she did that, I knew I had to choose something that made sense. I knew I had to choose something that I could get into school and get out. I didn't have the opportunity to say get into school and say, actually, I don't like this. Let me change to this degree, because that would take more time, that would take more money, that would take a lot of more work for my mother. So I just chose to do something that was basic, that can be applied to many fields of business.
Wow.
hmm
Wow. Okay. So why did you attend Philadelphia Biblical University and pursue a master's then in Christian counseling? For business, like what did you do with your business degree? Well, we know you work at the Bank of Butterfield,
Yes.
right? But tell us a little bit about maybe your getting your bachelor's in business and then coming out and choosing to go and get a master's in religion.
Right. So I finished my bachelor's degree. I came home to work to, help support the family, as most of us Bermudians do. I was home for about 2 years, and once again, I just found myself in a position asking, what is life? Like, there has to be more to this. And just seeing everybody in Bermuda and, just seeing our community and how people are struggling at times and looking for more out of life. So that, once again, got me leading to the question, what is life? Like, what is God? Who is God? What's happening? you know? So I decided I wanted to just pursue that. I wanted to pursue more about God. So I called the school, I sent in my application. I actually applied for a Master's of Divinity, which you'll know is for pastors and preachers. So the school contacted me and said, actually, I don't think that's for you. And I was like, okay, I'm not really sure what I want to do. I just want to explore more about God, to be honest. And they were like, well, we have this Masters of Christian Counseling program that we think will be great for you. So I said, sure, why not? I had to put myself through that program because obviously my mom had worked super hard and I didn't think it was appropriate for me to ask for any more assistance. So I had to work my 3 jobs and pay myself through college, through my master's degree, which was a learning experience for myself. So I went to Christian counseling. I did all the work. I was able to process through my trauma as a sick child and come back and realize like I can help other people overcome their stuff. And that's kind of what the Masters in Counseling did for me and how that came about.
So how long before you got your master's, like you're working in business, right? And then you just decided, I'm going to go and do this, a master's in counseling?
So before I went to do my master's, I was actually working at a doctor's office for 2 years before I actually entered the banking business. When I came back from counseling, I actually went into the banking business after that.
Okay.
So I was in a doctor's office, and that's where I just saw people suffering, and I saw people, going through the daily struggles, and I just wanted to be able to help people and to, hold them, hug them, and to just let my words do encouragement and empowerment for those people.
Oh, that is just so awesome. That is so awesome. Now, you've taken a number of online courses, such as life coaching. Tell us about that.
Right, so I find online courses really convenient for me, especially if you're home and you're working instead of going back to school, for example.
So your master's was back to school? You went?
Yeah, I went back to Philadelphia and I did that degree. So that
Wow.
after I came home, and I just like further education. I didn't know if I got that from my dad, from him working, being an educator or whatnot. But for me, I always need something to live for, if that makes sense. We all do. But education just constantly helps me to develop as a person, helps me to be the change that I want to see in the world. So my online course for life coaching, I decided I want to do life coaching, and I don't really believe in doing something you don't have any education behind it. I think as a leader, you need to be able to support what you're trying to tell other people. You need to be educated on the topic, because sometimes we can do more harm than good if we don't know what we're talking about. So I just try to make an effort to learn whatever it is I want to pursue and help others with.
Hmm.
So for the online coaching course, it was adaptable to my schedule. I make my own time for it. There wasn't a set time to where I had to sit down and log in. It was more of whenever you have free time, go read a chapter. Whenever you can do so, just keep reading, and when you get to the end, you can complete the exam, and they'll let you know whether you passed or failed or what areas you need to work on to pass.
So how did you choose this online course?
So when it comes to online courses, for example, I chose a new Life Skills Academy. What I do is I Google the institution, because it's a lot of online places that just want to take your money, and you don't know if they're credible or not. So I try to Google them. I try to Google reviews. I try to see what list of schools they're on, just to see that they're accredited. I normally always go for accredited schools, and you can always find that at the bottom of their website. And just to confirm, you go to where they're accredited and go and check that website.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I do a lot of research. You go to that website to make sure that they are actually on that list of accreditation, and then say, okay, that's cool, that works for me, or it doesn't work for you.
So how long did it take you to complete this first course that you did, and what was it like?
For the online coaching course, it took me about 3 months. Um, it was good. It was pretty smooth. A lot of life coaches don't really have formal education, so with me having the master's in Christian counseling, that kind of supported a lot of the learning that I was doing in the life coaching. Um, Coaching and counseling are similar, but they're not the same. They have some of the same principles, but they're totally different, if that makes sense. Counseling, we kind of help you bring the answers out of yourself. So you know the answers, and we're there just to be a sounding board and to get you to realize that you know the answers that you need to implement. You just need that little guidance or that safe place to express yourself. Life coaching is more of an area where we will tell you if you're doing something wrong. We will tell you when you need to step up your game and put your bootstraps on, right? We'll tell you your accountability partner, and we'll give you strategies to actually implement what you're trying to implement and accomplish your goal. And a counselor won't really do that. They won't insert their opinions. A life coach will insert their opinions, and they will be a little bit more harsher than a counselor.
So did you find that there was difficulty trying to adjust to being a life coach versus counseling? Or sometimes, saying, well, I need to back off a little bit, or, do you have any difficulty there, any challenges?
I did, actually. I'm glad you point that out. But as a life coach, when I first started off, I had difficulties inserting myself, because as a counselor, we're just more so a sounding board, like I said. But as a life coach, I really needed to get in there and I started expressing myself. I was used to holding my opinions back as a counselor, and as a life coach, I really need to get in there and tell you how I feel and what I think and why I think you're not accomplishing what you set out to do.
Well, let's go back a little bit, because you said you have this degree, Master of Science degree in Christian Counseling. What were you planning on doing with the Master of Counseling? Because that takes time, and you took the time to put yourself through, paid for it yourself. What were you planning to do with that?
Exactly. It took a lot of effort to accomplish that, and I did not have a end goal with that. So that's one thing that I learned. But when I finished, I did want to be a counselor. When I went, I didn't want to be a counselor. And by the time I finished, I did want to be a counselor. And then when I came home, I applied for counseling jobs. And true to the Bermuda spirit, they said, you don't have any experience. You have the education, but you don't have experience. So then I found myself in a little jam. And that's when I entered the banking industry because I just needed a job at that time to, get settled and get back on my feet in Bermuda.
Goodness gracious. All right. You're listening to Hott 107.5, the station of innovation, and your word today on the Need to Lead, talking about the law of the picture with Miss Salintae T Smith. This young lady is an avid one who wants to pursue education. We are talking about online courses and the fact that she just is not satisfied with not knowing. She wants to find out things, and so she's done her research. So tell us a little bit more about the mindfulness training. Like, what did that entail?
So I did that through the same academy, Life Skills Academy. And it entailed basically the same thing. It's self-paced. And it took me about 2 months to do that. And what mindfulness is basically being present in the moment. As a leader, we struggle sometimes with actually listening to people. We prepare our response before the person actually finishes what they're saying. But if we were mindful, we stayed in the moment, we would understand and we would be able to comprehend what it is they're actually trying to express to us. So whether it's through their body language, sometimes you pick up what people are saying by what they're not saying as well. And so mindfulness teaches you to be present and aware of all of that. And that just kind of supported me, and I feel like has made me a better life coach to be able to be present with my clients and to understand them more than they understand themselves at times.
So tell us a little bit about how you built up your clientele, how you first got involved, how you got your first client with this mindfulness training. What did you do next after you received the certification?
So I tried to do events in which, that were free just to get my name out there, which I'm continuously doing. And I think we always want to start with our family members as our first clients or our friends as our first clients. And sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm continuously trying to put myself out there and just doing things free and just letting people know that I'm here for them, even if they can't pay. But I can help you get you through this situation and we can figure it out. And I think that it's a blessing to do that because by blessing someone else, you will in the end get blessed. And God sees the work that you do behind closed doors. And He'll send you those clients to make up for those pro bonos that you might have done, right? So I just continuously put myself out there. I did an article at the World Gazette, which you mentioned. And I was able to get some partnerships, which is another key way for me to get myself out there and to work with people and to get clients, is doing partnerships with others and collaborating. So it all just ties into each other.
So is this really fulfilling and rewarding for you, or do you feel like there's another step that you have to take? Because you don't seem like you're just satisfied to just stay there. You're
Nope, yep, you're correct. I'm not easily satisfied. I'm always looking for the next step up. But with this life coaching business, this is my heart and soul. Like, I completely love that. I just want to get better at it. I just want to build my clientele even more so that I'm helping more people. Because that's really what it's about. It's about touching the lives of others. It's about helping them get unstuck. It's about helping them find their joy. Like, it really gives me, goosebumps and gives me a blissful feeling when I see other people's happy and I see other people overcoming that thing that they came to me for, whether it be anxiety, although it may not go away fully, but they may be able to overcome it and start accomplishing some of their goals, or whether they're able to just realize that although this circumstance is a hindrance on their life, that they deserve to accomplish their goals. They deserve greatness. And I just love seeing people come to that realization.
So tell us a little bit about maybe your first client, without revealing any names or whatever. Like, why do people come? You mentioned depression, and but what kinds of reasons do people have to come and acquire a life coach?
So sometimes people are stuck. It's basically being stuck. They know they want to accomplish this, but they're at point A and they need to get to point C. So I'm right there to get you to point B so that you can then see point C a little bit closer than you did before. So people come to me because for clarity. They want clarity on how they can get from one place to the next, right? Mm-hmm. They need that reassurance at times to know that they can do it, and they have some person in their corner, me, to say, you know what, you deserve this. No matter what anybody else has said to you or what you believe about yourself, you deserve greatness. You deserve to accomplish your goal. You deserve to simply be happy, and it's okay. And that's what clients seek me out for.
Well, tell us a little bit about your CEO and founder of Metanoia Power. How did you come up with the term? How did you choose it? And how did you go about starting this business? Just tell us a little bit more about that.
So metanoia, which I love the word, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to pronounce.
But
metanoia means the ability and the desire to change your thoughts and to change your feelings about something. So I strongly believe that everybody has the right to change their opinion about things. So we grow because we're continuously learning about different things. And sometimes we live in a culture which suggests that we need to stay the same, that suggests that if you change your mind about something, you are, two-faced or flip-floppy or whatever the case may be. But I'm here to say, and I strongly believe that, no, like that's the way that we grow. Like you should be changing your opinion about things. You should be opening up. You should be expanding your heart about certain situations. So that's what metanoia is about. It's about overcoming and changing your thought pattern to find your power. So our power is found in the way that we think. Our power is found in the way that we feel. And our power is found in elevating ourselves through our thoughts and through our feelings. One of the first things I did is I kind of jumped the gun, and I went and I got a website designed, but I didn't really have any people coming to me, so that was kind of premature. But I loved it. Like I'm really strategic about things because I feel like if somebody wants to find out about me, I need to have something there in place for them to come to know that this is your tribe. Like I'm here for you. Like you are at the right place.
So let me just inject right here that you have a website. It's metanoiapower.com. So www.metanoiapower.com if anybody wants to check that out. Okay.
Yes, and also if you just simply go to Google and Google my name, which is also, it's Salintae, okay. Salintae. So if you simply Google my name, the website would also come up, and you'll also find my handles on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter as well.
What do you think is the most effective daily habit a leader should develop?
There's so many. But reading is one of them. Like I sometimes read when I drop my daughter off on the way to work. So as I'm walking, and people think I'm gonna bump into things, but I've kind of mastered it at this point because I kind of need to utilize all the time that I have because of everything that's on my plate. So reading is super effective because it expands our mind and it gives us something to think about. Like just continuously thinking about something. It could be about anything, but having a friend that continuously gives you a topic, like what's your thoughts of the week. I have a great friend who's always messaging me every week and he says, what's your thoughts for the week? And we get into a discussion. And he may have one opinion, I may have another, but it keeps our mind stimulated. It keeps us challenging ourselves. So I think for leaders, continuously every day, just broaching a topic that asks you to expand your mind. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be something that, something small, but just thinking analytically.
Okay, it's been said that it's, as I read earlier, it's easier to teach what's right than to do what's right. Give us an example of how this statement has been true for you.
For me, it's always easy to teach something. It's always easy to lay out a strategy for clients. And I'm pretty good at sticking to all my strategies, But at the same time, I am a person that doesn't like routine. So it's kind of hard to to stay on this pattern of routine. For example, I'm super organized, super scheduled. So by Sunday, my daughter's clothes are laid out for the whole week.
Oh my
Her
goodness.
snacks are laid out for the whole week. I'm super organized, right? I have a planner which I continuously tell clients to stay in their planner, organize everything for the week. But then at points it comes to myself where I'll fall off of that schedule and routine for a week or two because I just redundancy just drives me nuts sometimes. Which is
Right.
probably why I'm always seeking out more knowledge and more education. But because life is meant to be lived, right?
Okay, so tell us now. We mentioned that you have sickle cell anemia. Tell us about what it's like to live with sickle cell anemia. Maybe tell, and you're the chair of the Sickle Cell Association. Um, Tell us about that.
Yes. So sickle cell. So if you know anybody with sickle cell can be really debilitating at times. Like I mentioned, I was in and out of the hospital as a young child. Um, it affects your bloodstream. So our blood cells can be sickle, so they can be curved. So they sometimes connect with each other and they get blocked around your joints. So that can be really painful if you don't have blood flow coming from, you say, your fingertips to your heart and back down again. That can start to elicit a pain crisis. And that's what we call them. We call them crisis. A lot of times they're around the joints, say the knees, the back area, um, all over your body. And it's different for every person, of course, but it's pretty similar as far as how the pain affects you. And it's just some sharp pains that continuously pulsate in and out of that one spot. Sometimes I will get up out of my bed and I'll just fall to the ground because I'll have pain in my knee. And I literally can't walk on it because the pain is just so bad. So it's been a struggle to wrap my mind around living with sickle cell and learning about my body. You have to learn about your body. You have to learn about what your trigger points are, what makes you sick, what will help you overcome that sickness. So it's a constant battle of keeping an eye out for trigger points. So you have to continuously be on the, I don't say be on the hunt, but basically be aware of your surroundings, be aware of the situations you find yourself in. Anything that will make you sick will make me sick about 5 times more, at least 5 times more. So a common cold can lead to pneumonia. I've had pneumonia multiple times in my lifetime.
Really?
Yep, and you mentioned the 3 blood transfusions. I had that in 1 year. I've had multiple more blood transfusions throughout my years. Um, because it can lead to a lot of complications. So, like I said, the blood flow sometimes can stop getting to certain parts of your body. So, for example, if they can't reach your heart, you can have a stroke, or you can have a stroke, or you can have a heart attack. And when I was growing up, I knew a little boy, and we went to Boston Medical together. I was going for random tests, and I think he was as well. But this was the first time that I encountered another child who had the sickle cell worse than I did. He actually had a stroke on his whole left side of his body, and he walked with a limp, and his arm would lacked mobility, and he was about 9 years old, and he had a stroke because of the sickle cell. So it can come up with a lot of complications. So
Well, tell us about your work with the Sickle Cell Association.
hmm so like you said, I used to be the chair. Currently, Akila Simmons and Shani Thompson, they're the chair and vice president, and they do an awesome job. Um, Previously, we worked on just awareness in the community. There are a lot more sicklers in the community than people realize, and there's always some born. And that's basically because of our small gene pool, that we have a high ratio of sicklers here. And it's really important that people understand what sicklers go through. For example, when I was in primary school, and I was in gym class and we were doing our laps around the school, and I tried to tell my gym teacher like I can't do it, and he just thought I was giving an excuse, and he was like, run, 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 and I ended up getting a stitch in my side, and I just like broke down. I stopped and I just fell to the ground, and I just started crying because I had pain, because we can't exert ourselves more than our body allows us to, and if we do, that can lead us to the hospital. So if you're pushing a child that has sickle cell, you can literally cost them their life because you don't understand the disease. And but you really need to be patient and understand each person's body. So it is really a disease that's worth understanding and worth taking the time to know about if you know people with sickle cell anemia.
Well, you mentioned that there's a small gene pool in Bermuda. And so what's your estimate of how many people here have sickle cell? Do you know? Or?
I'm not exactly sure. They're in the hundreds.
Really?
Yeah, they're in the hundreds. So that was one of our other main goals with this association, was bringing everybody together and finding out and creating a database with sickle cell, people with sickle cell anemia. That hasn't been able to be completed because of privacy issues. So we always ask people who know someone with sickle cell to reach out to the association so that they can be a part of the community. It's really important to have support and to talk about your stories with people who are like-minded and who have gone through it before you, right? People with more mature can give you advice that doctors won't be able to give you, and that's really important to have support.
Well, your mother must be very proud of you.
She is, and I'm just really thankful because another thing that goes with sickle cell is having someone to advocate for you, right? And my mother, like, I try to tell her all the time, she doesn't she doesn't like the limelight. But she deserves it so much because if I didn't have her to advocate for me, I totally believe that I would be dead. I wouldn't have a leg. There was an instance when I was 3 years old that I was in the hospital and I had an IV in my foot. It was another occasion of me being in the hospital. And because you're a sickler, you have to get so many blood tests and they poke your veins so much, right? So when I was 3 years old, I had to get an IV in my foot. And I don't know if this is going to be too graphic for your listeners.
Well,
I'll try to.
God, you're here.
So I had an IV in my foot. And, as they do sometimes, IVs, they tend to puff up because they either, slipped out of the vein or they're just been in too long. So it puffed up on my foot. My foot just expanded and expanded until it actually split open at 3 years old. And so that was an experience in itself. So I woke up, screaming of pain. My mother was by my side. And the doctors, immediately rushed me off. And in Bermuda, they wanted to cut off my leg, actually, because of that. But I am so thankful for my mother because she advocated me and she said that is not going to happen. She said absolutely not, right? And so she said we're flying her out. So they flew me out. And she did everything that she needed to do as a mother to make sure that I was seen by the appropriate doctor and that someone would save my leg. And sure enough, she got my leg saved. It was saved. That I still have my leg today. I walk with a limp, which is fine. Like, I'll take that. But in the end, like, I'm just super thankful for my mom that she advocated for me that night and said, this is not going to happen. This is what's going to happen, right? So that's been a process in itself as well, and that was an experience in itself as well. And, you can see that was a complication of the sickle cell. It leads to all different things. But that was one of my life-changing experiences back then. And, I still deal with the pain from that incident to today. So that's another reason why I just think that my mission and my purpose is bigger than me, because there's so many things that have tried to stop me from being here today with you.
This is awesome, and for parents out there listening, you hear about advocating for your children, and my mom always advocated for the four of us. She used to say things like, they're each different, so why do you expect the same thing from each one of them? But so parents, you're the best advocate for your child, and you hear what Salintae has said. Now, Salintae, they talked about in the article, the Royal Gazette article, about a 4-part video series. What was that about, and did you ever accomplish that?
Yes, I executed that. It's called Breaking Negative Thought Patterns. So the 4 parts are: 1, identifying your triggers; 2, cleaning the slate; 3, taking on new behaviors; and 4, accepting a new lifestyle. And basically it's for people who want to finally break negative thought patterns that are getting in the way of accomplishing what you need to accomplish. So number one, identifying the triggers. Sometimes you just think that people say you just need to think positive, right? And while it is true you need to think positive, it's not so easy sometimes. It's easier said than done. So my 4-part series is actually helping you do the work to start thinking positive, to break away those barriers that prevent you from thinking positive. So identifying the triggers. So for example, you may continuously think self-doubt. You may continuously think that you're not worthy of.
And this is what you're calling negative thought, right?
Yeah. So self-doubt, for example, you may think that you're not worthy of going to school to get your master's. But where did that come from? You didn't think of that overnight, right? We have not been programmed to give ourselves that positive banter that we deserve all the time. A lot of times we've been programmed to do the opposite, to think negatively about a situation, to think negatively about ourselves. And sometimes that comes from childhood and we don't even know it. It comes from a trauma that we experience. So it's really going back into your mind and thinking, where did this start? Where did this start and how can I overcome it? So once you identify where it started, be like, oh, I don't like to talk in front of people because that one time when I got up on stage and people said, oh, they started laughing at me. They were laughing at you because you were a cute little child who was just putting on a presentation. But you transfer that in your mind as they were laughing at me because I sucked. They were laughing at me because I was bad at it. They were laughing at me because I should never do this again. And that's what you stuck with, and that's what you've been holding and carrying with you throughout these years. And as the years go by, you just place things on top of it and you just layer it to continuously think, I don't deserve to be a public speaker because I am not good at it for whatever reason. And you just layered it and implemented that in your mind. So identifying your triggers, you can start to unpack it and you can start to say, actually, maybe I can be a speaker because actually I was overreacting and I'm the one that has decided that I don't deserve to be a speaker, you know?
Okay, so this 4-part series, can anybody access this or how does that work?
Yeah, so you can get to my website, metanoiapower.com, METANOIA power.com, and you can go under the products and you can access it there.
So is there a cost for this or?
Yeah, I did do a discount cost once I initiated that. I think it's still up. So I believe the discount was $125. I have to go back and check. But if you have any issues on the price, you can just email me, which is on the website as well, and we can discuss it. That's fine. I really just want people to start doing the work and accessing it and doing what they need to do to reach their goal, to be happy, to find their joy again. So price shouldn't be an issue for you to start accessing your joy. That's really what it's all about for me. So I'm happy to talk to anybody.
Well, you're listening to The Need to Lead on Hott 107.5, and we're talking with Salintae T. Smith about the law of the picture. And Salintae, what advice, if you ever received any, that helped you to, well, I mean, of course you've received some advice somewhere, but what advice have you received that helped you to achieve, and who helped you, other than your mom, to get where you are today?
Yeah, because my mom was a big influence in my life.
Yeah, hats off to mom.
Yeah, hats off to her.
And her name is what again?
I'm not going to say. She's going to kill me.
All right.
But what advice that has helped me achieve where I am now is that you can do anything you set your mind to, which you've all heard before. But if you're not ready to hear it, then it's really hard to digest. So that came to me when I was ready to hear it, that I can do anything I set my mind to. The doctors have always told me that I wasn't going to live to see 30 or whatever the case may be.
Really?
That's one of the, that used to be an old saying about sickle cells, that individuals with sickle cell were not going to live to see 30. Because they didn't have a lot of research back then. But now they have more research, so the age has upped. But at the time when I was younger, it was 30 that I wasn't able to see.
Do you know what it is now, the average? Or
I want to say about 50. But hopefully it gets further and further away the goal line because I plan to be around for a long time.
All right. So, what advice can you offer to others to ensure that people realize their potential, particularly young people who may be listening to the show? Um, what can they do to help pursue their goals and to be all that they can be?
So it's really just acknowledging that you are not your circumstances. Whatever it is that you're going through, you can definitely overcome it. And what I try to do for myself is always seek out people, whether it be on TV or whether it be in person, people that have done what you've tried to do, people who have overcome. I tend to read a lot of biographies of people who have overcome to continuously remind myself that I can also overcome. So, whatever your current circumstances is knowing that that doesn't define you. My sickness and whatever you're going through is only a part of us. It does not define us. It's not the whole being of who we are. And to that point, we are individuals. We are put on this earth for a unique purpose. So really just find what your purpose is. And it's more attainable than you really think. So just keep at it. Keep believing in yourself, obviously, more than anything else.
Well, what do you think people can learn from observing you, from listening to your story? I'll tell you what I've gotten out of it so far.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to go and sign up for an online course. Not where I'm finding the time, but I'm thinking, that's pretty interesting. Maybe I'll go and try one of these online courses and see what it is that they have to offer. And like you said, rather than just selecting anything, you've advised that we check out the site, check to see whether or not they're accredited, and just all of those things, which I think are really, really important, rather than just to choose the first thing that comes up.
Right.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe I'll try something. There's always something I'm interested in doing, so, but that's an idea. And since it's on my own time, I could give up watching CNN for a while.
Exactly.
I'm glued to CNN.
Another tip about that is that even if you just sign up for their newsletters, because sometimes the price may be something that you are not willing to pay. For example, it could be $500. So if at the time you see it's $500, you're like, oh, I can't stretch my pocket for that. Sign up for their newsletter, and in that newsletter you will get promotions all the time to be like, this course has gone from $500 to $50, but you have until tonight to do it. They do that all the time because they really just want you in that course, because once they get you in, they want to sell other courses.
Right.
But if you sign up for the newsletter, you will continuously get discounts on all sorts of things. So don't be discouraged by the price. Like, there's always a way around it, trust me.
That's wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so what can people, anything specific that you think they can learn from observing you?
What I'm told all the time is that when people find out about my story and my illness and all the things that I've overcome, and every time I'm in the hospital, my colleagues are always saying, wow, I hear about the things that you go through, and then my life doesn't seem so bad. Which I'm not sure is a compliment or not. But what I think that you can learn is that you can still be joyful in the midst of all your pain. Like, really, like, this always keep hope alive. I always keep hope alive, and that's always what gives me and sustains my joy. And from seeing me, like, I'm usually a very happy, bubbly person. If you see me and I'm miserable, it's just a bad day, guys. But in general, I'm always a joyful person. So people can learn that joy is for everybody, despite what you're going through.
I like that. Joy is for everyone. Okay, and is there any other leadership material that you recommend people become a part of or learn about?
I'm really specific and intentional about the things I read, view, and listen to. But for other people, if you, like I said, if you're looking for something specific to your market, to your interest, seek out those people, seek out those biographies, and that will continuously keep you inspired.
Okay, so what leadership tip did someone share with you that you can share with us?
Leadership tip? That, leadership starts by being a servant, and the scripture that always comes to mind, I don't know the exact scripture, but the image that always comes to mind to me is when I think Jesus was washing their feet.
Yeah.
That is a visual that always pops into my mind, because by serving someone, you can lead them. By serving someone, they welcome you in more to their heart. They give you a space at the table, and they understand that you're not there just to dictate to them or to just push them in that direction. You're not there to get them to do what you want to do. You're actually there for their benefit. You're actually there for their well-being, because you actually care about them. So that's one leadership tip that I always keep close to my heart, is to serve people first.
I love that. Now, I'm going to let you make the final comment about the law of the picture and what you would like listeners to remember. And as you're thinking about what that would be, let me say to everyone out there in the listening audience today that the presiding elder, Reverend Larry E. Dixon, has an appreciation service at St. Philip's tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock. And so I'm putting it out there because we want to add value to others, and we want to appreciate others. And since Reverend Dixon's arrival in Bermuda, personally, I can tell you I'm gratified by the kinds of things that he does. So, final comment from you?
Yeah, sure. The law of the picture dictates that people watch what you do more than listen to what you do, right? So for me, and it also talks about it consists of vision, mission, and strategy. So I'm always very intentional about the things that I choose for my life. So be intentional about the things that you want to do. So whether you are planning for the next 5 years or the next 2 years, be intentional about what you're doing now, because setting yourself up for success in the future is dependent on what you're doing now to better yourself. And we really have to be go-getters, and we really have to challenge ourselves to actively pursue our happiness, actively pursue our joy, and actively pursue to make ourselves better, because the saying is nothing changes if nothing changes. So we have to change the way we think about how we achieve these things we want in life.
Well, thank you, Salintae, for coming in on a Saturday afternoon, Saturday morning, early in the morning, a young person. People, I'm going to let you give the website again so that anybody who is interested can sign up, look at your videos and check out your mindfulness workshops. I'm gratified, excited about the fact that my son knows someone of this caliber, that this is the kinds of person that he chooses to associate himself with, somebody who's a go-getter, somebody who is interested in being better, somebody who's interested in serving others. And so this morning I want to congratulate you, take my hat off to you, acknowledge you, and say I ask that God will bless you, bless your business, and that you will be that picture for young people particularly, but for everybody, because you've now presented a picture for me about what it is that I can do. So for listeners, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Need to Lead on Hott 107.5, and maybe you want to give a final shout out to your mom. God bless you, listeners, and we'll see you next week on The Need to Lead.
Thank you, Doctor. I'm so thankful to being here. Thank you for listening. My name again is Salintae, Salintae. You can Google me and you'll find all my information. My website is metanoiapower.com, metanoia.power.com. And please reach out to me, whatever it's small or big, you want to work with me, you're thinking about working with me, you need advice, you need assistance for your young adult in your life, or an older adult, whatever the case may be, just reach out. I'm here to serve you, and it gives me joy to do so.
Amen.
Representing Bermuda, welcome. It's an experience you'll never forget. Radio on Hott 107.5.
I thought you were off the air for a second because I couldn't hear.
The 2019 Praise Team's Gospel Concert.
But you're fine, so that's good.